Hey everyone, so today we're going to be talking about turtle care, doing a little beginner guide for anyone that's thinking about getting a turtle. We'll talk about all the things you'll need to know for setting up their tank and things you need in their tank. So we'll get started with tank size. Now this turtle was brought to me from my girlfriend who moved in, and she brought him from about 14-hour drive away, so we couldn't bring a tank. We brought him in a little Tupperware, and he's in this 40-gallon tank right now, which isn't quite big enough for him. We'll be changing it in the future. Right now he's fairly content. But for turtle tank size, you're going to need about 10 gallons per inch of turtle. So lots of people see these red-eared sliders in the store. They're pretty cheap. Almost every pet store has them, and almost every pet store sells them and doesn't give proper information. A red-eared slider, most of the females can get up to about a foot. The males also about a foot, but sometimes the males stay a little smaller, maybe 9-10 inches. But they're going to need 10 gallons per inch of shell when they're an adult. So a 12-inch turtle is going to need a 120-gallon tank. Now I suggest getting the tank of the adult size it's going to grow to. Don't buy a small 10-gallon tank or something for a small turtle, and then in a month you'll have to change it, and then a couple months later you'll have to get another bigger tank and a bigger tank. You want to just set up the proper tank for them for when they're going to be an adult. So for like a red-eared slider, you should buy like a 100-gallon tank. 90 would be okay. Somewhere around 90 to 125-gallon tank for a red-eared slider. If you add a second turtle in, you don't have to double that number, but you might want to add a little more. So for like two 12-inch red-eared sliders, instead of a 120-gallon tank, you might want like a 150-gallon tank. So the first thing is, these guys need big tanks, and they're very often sold in improper setups. Sometimes you'll see baby turtles being sold with these little like beach setups where there's like a little water area and stuff. Those are horrible. Please don't do that. You need a proper tank, and it needs to be big. Don't worry about a baby turtle not being able to swim. I've had many people ask me how deep should the water for a couple-inch turtle be, and my answer is almost to the top. I only leave enough space in my turtle tanks that the turtles can get out of the water. Baby turtles can swim just fine. Think about in the wild, they're in lakes, ponds, and rivers, all of which are very deep, very fast-moving if it's a river. And they swim and do just fine in nature. So they're just fine in a tank. Fill them up. So the first thing is, again, the size of turtle. Look up their adult size and get a big tank that's going to fit them for their life. Some turtles that are smaller are maps and musks. Many of the species of those can get around only 6 inches. So you'll just need like a 60-gallon tank. That's a better choice if you're not looking to get something huge. I'd steer clear of red-eared sliders unless you want to get a really big tank. But a 60-gallon tank's good for some musks and maps and painted turtles as well, depending on the species of them. So we got Grampy here. If you see some movement in the water, a little bit of dusty stuff, that's because I just filled this tank with a 5-gallon jug to add some more water to it. So tank size is really important. They need a big tank. Just say that one more time. You need about 10 gallons per inch of shell. In the tank you need a really good filter. I use a Fluval U4, which is rated for, I believe, up to about 58 or 60 gallons. This is a 40-gallon tank, but it's only got about 30 gallons of water in it. So I've got about double the filtration rating of the size of tank. And that's really important because turtles are pretty messy. I decided to go with a bare bottom tank, but I do suggest to put gravel in if you like. Gravel can house beneficial bacteria, which will help the tank's water chemistry. But I kind of like how the bare bottom looks, and my Fluval has some biocylinders in there for beneficial bacteria to grow. So I just did a bare bottom tank, but gravel's quite fine. As you can see in my tank, I don't have very many objects. Just have a kind of a little decoration here, and then there's a little log under there. You don't want to fill it up with too much stuff. I'd put in a couple rocks, maybe a plant or two if you want to make it look nice, but leave a lot of open space so the turtle can swim around. If there's tons of stuff in there and he can't swim, then he's not able to swim, and that's not good. Another thing people need to do with turtle tanks is get a 100% dry basking area. Now I've got two examples in here. This is the bad example. These are sold all over the place. You'll see them in every pet store, and they never get fully dry. Every time the turtle goes up, they kind of dip underwater. They don't float very well, and your turtle needs to get 100% dry. Otherwise, mold and other things can start growing inside their shell. So they need to get out and bask and get 100% dry. So these docks really aren't good. I'd suggest making one on your own, or this is one that I found that is pre-made. This is a Penplax brand, and it stays pretty dry for anything up to about a 9-inch turtle. You might be able to see a tiny bit of water up there, but again, I just filled the tank and splashed around tons of water. So you need a 100% dry basking area. With that basking area, you need UVB lighting and heat. Now this can be accomplished with either 1 or 2 bulbs. Here I'm using 2. Let me show the other one real quick. For my bearded dragon, I'm using this bulb. It's a mercury vapor bulb, and it gives off heat and UVB. So with that bulb, if I had that on my turtle tank, that would be the only bulb I need. One single light for the turtle tank giving heat and UVB. Now I had these lights at home when I set up this tank, so I did this one different. This is a UVB bulb, and this is a basking heat bulb. So basically these two lights, that light does all in one. It's heat light and UVB separate. So hopefully you understand that the other light just does what both of these lights do, but with one bulb. So you're going to need that basking area having the UVB light on it, and you also need the heat light, but you need to make sure that the temperature of the basking area is correct. So you're going to want to put a thermometer there and make sure the temperature is in the range that your turtle needs. So you'll look up your turtle species and see what temperature the basking area needs, and then you can raise this light, or if you need it to be hotter, get a higher wattage light and raise and lower it to get the proper temperature on the basking area. Those things are very important. If they don't have the proper basking temperature, if they don't have the UVB lighting, their health is not going to be good. It's going to go down, their shell's going to start rotting. It's just not going to be good. So other than that, there's one more thing I had to talk about here before we went through most of it. Other than that, I guess there's just food up here. For food for turtles, I simply use a turtle food. This one I'm using currently, and that's all they need to survive. Don't overfeed. Lots of people will overfeed like crazy, throwing in like 20 pellets a day. That's going to make the water quality go down, and it's not going to be good for your turtle. I just throw in a couple to a few pellets a day, and that's all they need. You can also feed them insects. The pellets, like I said, will keep them alive, but it's good to feed them insects. I feed mealworms, superworms, crickets. You can feed some fruits and vegetables, and you can feed fish. Now goldfish are not very healthy for turtles or anything that eats them really, but they're okay as a treat here and there. You could throw in feeder guppies or feeder minnows, the rosy reds, and those all are fine as well. But basically, if you have some turtle food at home, you'll be good to go. And just throw in that other stuff, insects or whatever, you know, a couple times a month, a couple times a week even, just as much as you want to. So again, to recap, pretty easy, but you just need the proper tank set up, and you need 10 gallons per inch of adult turtle shell. So look up your species and see what you're going to need. You need really good filtration. I use this Fluval U4. I really recommend underwater filters because hang-on back filters don't work so good on turtle tanks because there's so much space at the top where there's no water. Even if it does work, the filter is able to suck up the water, it drops water and it makes a lot of noise. So this is basically silent. Really recommend that. Check out the Fluval U series of filters. So other than the size of the filter, you need your 100% dry basking area with UVB and proper heat. You do not need any lights at night. Just like in nature, the sun goes down. So at night, as long as your house stays over 60 degrees, shouldn't need any lighting at night. They'll be just fine. That's how it naturally is, and that's just fine for them. As you see, I don't have a heater in the tank. The water in this tank is proper temperature for him. Most turtle tanks won't need a heater, but depending on your species, depending on your house and how cold or warm the room that they are in are, you might need a heater. So you're going to have to test your water temperature, and if it's too cool for the species of turtle you have, then you might want to throw in a heater as well. Other than that, it's really about it. It's just, you just got to get a big enough tank, proper filtration, proper basking area with UVB and heat. And after it's all set up, they're pretty easy to care for, not that expensive to care for, but the initial setup, you know, is a little bit of cost to get all the correct parts. So that's real quick and easy things you need if you're going to be owning a turtle. If you guys have any questions, let me know in the comments, or you can also send me messages on Facebook. It's the same Facebook name as my YouTube name, Earthling1984. Be happy to help you guys out. And otherwise, happy pet keeping. We'll see y'all later.